So today, 26th April. So since 2000, through WIPO, we are celebrating all over the world this IP Day, Intellectual Property Day, shortly known as IP Day. Dear participants, today in this webinar, we have the eminent person with us. We have the Narottam Shahu from Gujkos, Siddharth Chaudhary, Mr. BP Singh, and Mr. Karthik Chandrasekhar. And I am very much happy that from all over the India, from the different states, participants are joining this webinar. Intellectual property rights is very important matter, but unfortunately, there is minimum awareness. Only as far as the corporate house is concerned, there is some awareness, but as far as our young researcher is concerned, faculty is concerned, the academic institute is concerned, there is minimum awareness. So by such type of the celebration, which give the guidance and awareness about this intellectual property rights. Since the establishment of the Gujarat Technological University, the style of functioning is different from the other conventional university. Most of the conventional university, their major focus on to enroll the students, to conduct the examination, publish the result, and deliver the degree. But my university also, along with this all functions of examination and other thing, number of activities were initiated since long. So our university is the only university which established the dedicated IP cell in 2010. And under this dedicated IP cell presently headed by the Amit Patel, we have completed number of programs. About 400 workshop was covered and about 20,000 faculties and students were sensitized for this IP. We have the WIPO centers approved last year, and it was inaugurated by the Foreign External Affairs Minister Muralidharanji at my university. We have number of pedagogical changes by our academic council. Suppose all our master students, they have to give the patent search analytical report. Means in the work which they are doing, so they have to submit the PSAR report. And by such report, about 40,000 such report are available with my university. We are providing the database software, PATSR, to all researchers, to students, our faculties, and also other than the university, we are also extending our facility. We are arranging an number of programs. At present, our country is celebrating the 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi ji. Then our IP cell has declared that this year in 150 campus, this awareness program will be done. And about 70 programs is already over. We also decided to have 150 final patent to be filed. About 70 patents is already filed by my university in this year. We have the patent clinics, workshops, how drafting, and so many activities related with the patents throughout the years. for trademark, for copywriting. Also, we are extending the facility by our IP cell. Our universities also run the PG DPR for the postgraduate diploma in uh, property rights. In short, my university is the only university other than the Gujarat. They are inviting our experts from my university for IPR awareness program at their university. They called at Calcutta, at Sagar, and so many other universities. So again, wish you very happy IP day. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for briefing all of us and making a brief about GTU's various IPR activities to all the participants from across the India. Thank you very much, sir. Now, moving ahead, now I would like to invite Dr. Narottam Sahu, sir, from Gujarat Council on Science and Technology. Dr. Sahu is presently heading the Guj Coast, which is one of the most vibrant council on science and technology in all the states of India. He is very deeply interested for the design and development of innovation, scientific programs, and outreach activities in science and technology for awareness, understanding with inculcating scientific temper and inspiring curiosity for lifelong learning. He has did a lot for science promotion for the schools and post-graduation colleges as well, and promoting IPR activity to best of his capability by his team. We welcome you, Dr. Narottam Sahu. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, everybody, and greetings on the eve of World Intellectual Property Right Day. Today is being celebrated as worldwide. So this is a great collaboration, great celebration. I would like to congratulate our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor Dr. Naveen Seth, sir, for his kind consent and for his concern for this celebration, despite of this prevailing worldwide lockdown situation. That is the aim and that is the challenge of arranging this type of program. But with the support of technological development and interpretation of GTU, which is a very leading university at the state as well as the country, is actually leading this way out. We are thankful to Honorable BC sir and the IP cell of GTU, Dr. Amit Patel, for his coordination and connecting everybody to this virtual platform. So once again on the celebration of World IP Day, on behalf of Gujarat Council on Science and Technology, Department of Science and Technology, Government of Gujarat, we welcome all our panelists, all our distinguished faculties, speakers, as well as the participant of this day. And as this day is being celebrated from 2010 to encourage innovation and creativity among the various stakeholders in the society to take the state or nation to a higher altitude, I think there is a great role for everybody. Like Honorable BC sir has mentioned, innovation has a great role. Innovation has all the creativity is leading to innovation, and innovation is leading to showing the progress and giving a different milestone to all aspects in the society, whether it's a farmer, whether it's a consumer, or is a industrialist, or a faculty, or a student, or a common people. Everybody wants that there's something which would be helping him or her in the day-to-day activities. In that context, as this vacation, this period is just like another challenging situation in the Stockholm, in the lockdown situation. I think this gives a lots of innovation itself because we have 24 hours concealed in the home atmosphere, understanding that what the outer world's the necessity and there, what would be the necessity of our fellow members. So I think this 40 days of lockdown experience will be giving real time, real need and real challenges of us so that we can tackle that things in one by one. Secondly, at Guj Coast, we have a dedicated patent information cell (PIC) with
Next.
3 scientists and the faculties, and we have all collaborations and all cooperations with all the universities, departments, as well as the graduate and postgraduate colleges. We also have a good collaborations with the MSME, with the WIPO. We have Guj Coast has the WIPO, IPFC, and this TISC center also there. So every month, every you can say 15 days, there are some sort of programs. So I think it's a good platform. It's a great beginning, and we can use this platform, use this opportunity just for solving lots of challenges of these situations. So on the World IP Day, I once again congratulate to everybody, and we wish a very meaningful IP celebration today, which will be leading a lots of inspiration and encouragement to bring lots of creativity and innovation in our day-to-day time to the days or years to be coming. So let us celebrate it meaningfully and let us try to contribute objectively. Thank you.
Thank you, Sahu sir, for briefing all of us about importance of innovation and briefing about the various activities of Guj Coast. Thank you, sir, for your brief speech. Before we invite our next speaker, I would request some of participants doesn't have muted their microphone. Would request them to please keep their microphone on a mute mode. It creates some kind of disturbance during the session for the speaker as well and for other participant as well. So please, it's a warm request. Please mute your microphone. Now, moving ahead, now I would like to invite Sri Siddhant Chaudhary ji, who is works as a senior manager for strategy, governance, and program level initiatives on Agni program, housed at the Invest India. Agni stands for Accelerating Growth of New India's Innovation. Is the National Technology Commercialization Program led by the Office of Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India. Before joining to Invest India, Siddharth worked as a project manager at Fraunhofer Center for Sustainable Energy in Boston. He worked on a wide array of projects ranging from energy efficiency interventions in commercial buildings, tightly interested solar storage systems, and next generation plug and play rooftop solar PV systems. He has worked on several demonstration projects funded by US government, US Department of Energy. Prior to Fraunhofer Center of Sustainable Energy, Siddhant obtained a MS in Energy Science, Technology and Policy from Carnegie Mellon University, Petersburg. So we warmly welcome you, Mr. Siddhant, for briefing all our participants about importance of IPR and activities carried out by Agni and Invest India. Before Mr. Siddhant gives his speech, would request, still we are getting some kind of noise from some of the participants. Please check your microphone is on the mute. Please, Mr. Siddhant, carry on.
Yeah, Amajit, thank you for that kind introduction. And I'm, very honored to be on this esteemed panel today on the occasion of World IP Day. And as we all know, and we've already heard from the other panelists, that intellectual property is a very important topic at this time, specifically for India, as we are trying to become an innovative nation. To begin, Agni accelerates innovations, as you just rightly said. It is one Innovation Advisory Council. So what the focus is on is that are made in India, designed in India, and taking them to market. So it's a commercialization program. Essentially, what we focus on is across sectors, taking technologies and trying to fix problems that they face, trying to get them mentorship, trying to take them to market based on various channels that we have created with government and corporate. What we've been seeing for the last couple of years that the program has been active and the process of getting it online was that India already has a very strong base of IP. A lot of the stuff, and I focus mostly on patents. A lot of the technologies that we have are very IP heavy already. There are a lot of patents being filed across sectors, not only IT and sort of software, but also hardware. So that is something very interesting to see. We've also noticed that, as Sir mentioned, awareness of IP is still low, but it is increasing thanks to organizations such as CPAM. We've also noticed over the last few months that the process of filing uh, IP patents has become slightly easier. The time taken for processing has also come down. So generally, the step towards making it much more useful for innovators and inventors is actually taking a lot of pace now, and we see many much improvements in the coming months. However, what something that we've noticed quite often is a lack of understanding of IP at the institutional level. So you have innovators, inventors, startup founders who definitely understand what IP is. They understand the importance of it. They realize that if they have IP and they have their invention protected, they can actually take it to market. They will be known for this invention that they have created, and they'll have a common language across the world to talk about their invention and get value out of it, which is the best positive feedback that any innovator can have. However, when we look at some of our research institutions and academic institutions, the understanding of IPR is low. They all know it's important, but maybe the mindset is still about writing papers, publishing those papers, and not really knowing how to monetize what they've already produced. There are some exceptions, definitely, but overall, there is still a state of a lack of awareness. We've been trying to push for, in fact, in this range, more guidelines around technology transfer offices. So TTOs, for instance, there is no model TTO guideline. Nobody knows how to actually license out technologies that are being prepared in a lab or in academic institutions. So, for instance, if we take the example of the CSIR labs across the country, there are 38 with various other centers. They file probably the most number of patents every year for the last few years. And that is because of a concerted push to understand how they can create value from all the work that they do year. What we notice is that a lot of these patents are not actually then serviced. They have these patents and they keep them, and no economic value for the institution, for the country is taking place. What we're trying to do over there is let them know through various programs. We had a program last year where we had a lot of scientists and technology transfer officers come in and actually learn about how they can assess commercial value of what they're doing, how they can take it forward, what sort of licensing agreements they can actually come up with that will help them exclusive, non-exclusive, how to actually divide it, how to make sure that whatever the scientists in the labs are doing actually brings value to them. And this is something that critically important. So as Dr. Said was saying, GTO understands it. There's a specific, Amit Jain, you look after the IPR department here. That needs to spread all across the country. And there are institutions like yours which are doing it, but across the board, this really has to make sense. And coming to the topic of this year on World IP Day and sort of what the next speakers are going to speak about, which is also my background of a green future. Now, if you're looking in this time of COVID-19, and I hope everybody is keeping safe and maintaining social distance, the environment seems to have improved. And we shouldn't forget this once everything comes back to normal, maybe after 3rd May. We need to remember that this is how we are supposed to live with clean air, clean water, a life where we can go out and really enjoy the bountiful nature that we have. So that is something that we really have to keep in mind. And if you look at it, it needs interventions across sectors to ensure a future where we have sustainable development. So you have energy, you have transport, you have agriculture, you have industry, buildings, infrastructure, all of these different things, and waste, of course. All of them need to be targeted in a big way via innovations to actually ensure that we have a sustainable future. So at Agni, we have all of these sectors led by sector leads who actually look at innovations in these sectors specifically. And what we're seeing again is that it's moving towards sustainable development. So what people are looking at is resource optimization, how they can do something with lesser energy, how they can use waste to create value added products. So what we call waste to wealth. This is happening on a large scale now. It's a movement that has begun. It just we and everybody else on this planet must realize that this crisis of sustainability is probably the biggest crisis facing us. Even in this time of COVID-19, that is something that we should keep in mind and not forget. Putting our head in the sand is very easy, and just thinking about when the crisis hits us, we'll do something that really won't take us far. It'll be a worse situation than what we have right now for COVID-19. So interventions across sectors is important. I'm very curious and waiting to learn what the other speakers are going to say about how we can actually commercialize. I hope to take some lessons back to Agni as well. We have been working with corporate partners from across the world and governments, so including smart cities, the MSME department, to actually have these innovations percolate down into industry through licensing agreements, through technology transfer, through sales of products. And we are seeing there is traction across sectors, some more than others. But for instance, renewable energy, solar panels, grid optimization, e-mobility, energy storage. These are things that a lot of activity is happening both at the startup level, individual innovator level, and also at the research labs that I mentioned earlier. It's just how can we make them more IP heavy, make sure all of these different kinds of IPs that people are creating can be aggregated at a scale and then taken out so that we can become part of the global value chains and all of this. And I'm pretty confident looking at the COVID-19 response by innovators. We've had about 200 technologies come to us that we are routing to Office of PSA and various state governments for deployment. These are all IP heavy. These are all into test diagnostics, mass sanitization, creation of new kind of ventilators, simple machines, very, very innovative stuff. So I'm sure the Indian innovator is up to the challenge for making the green future a reality. And I believe organizations like GTU, CPAM, Agni, the various government departments, all of us, and Karthik is here also, who's going to talk about some of the technologies that he's incubating. We are on the right path. Let's just create more awareness about both these twin issues that we are discussing today. So we have the intellectual property rights and how we can strengthen them and how we can make sure people actually take full advantage of them, and sustainable development. And if we can do that through platforms like this, we'll have a very bright green future. Thank you.
I'm Karthik Chandrasekhar. I basically run a fund called Sangam Ventures and also incubator that's supported by the Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog, called AIC Sangam. We have quite a few strategic partners as well as technology partners who we have worked with in the past who are specifically focused on two things. One is access to energy, and two is looking at climate change as a problem, right? And one of the biggest reasons that we focus on climate change is because not acting on climate change will negate all the development gains that we have had in the last few decades, right? What that means is whatever IPs, innovations, progress we make from an economic development perspective, if we don't work on climate change, we might lose all those gains or benefits. And this is very similar to what we are looking at today with the pandemic outbreak, but a climate change crisis is coming not more than a decade or so away, right? So I think it's very important to focus on climate change innovations. And when I talk about climate change innovations for Sangam, we look at basically four broad categories. We look at energy transition, which is basically technologies that can help accelerate decarbonization, decentralization of energy. So that includes energy storage technologies and transport solutions. We look at climate smart land use. And this was something that I was really impressed by, that Vipo Green in 2020 also has a climate smart agriculture focus within their innovation support, right? And again, resource productivity, which is basically about doing more with less. So looking at industrial heat, power, low carbon materials, looking at refrigeration and heating and cooling solutions that are, kind of one of the biggest sinks of energy, right? And last but not the least, which is very important for India, where we have about 60 million, kind of micro SMEs, and trying to basically build efficiencies into their supply chains, into their manufacturing processes, and also looking for good livelihood opportunities and technology adoption within them, right? And all of that basically aligns then with sustainable development goals. And for us, the core sustainable development goals that we focus on or contribute towards is climate action, looking at affordable and clean energy, which is basically access to energy for all, looking at sustainable development in the form of cities and communities, and last but most importantly, looking at responsible consumption and production, which is basically focused around consumers as well as manufacturing industries, right? And within that framework, I think one of the most interesting ones that all innovators need to be aware of is the mission innovation framework of 8 technologies that the Indian ecosystem focuses on. And I won't list them out, but they're on your screen. There's also a Mission Innovation India website where you can get more detailed information on what is critical and being looked at from R&D, both from an academic and commercialization perspective. But obviously, as the Prime Minister stated, innovation is vital for combating climate change and ensuring climate justice. What I started with, which is basically that whatever we do, that innovation needs to be inclusive for us to basically reap the benefits in the long term, right? Some of the work that we are doing at AIC Sangam and at Sangam, we currently have 3 ongoing programs. The first one, we are working with UNIDO and the Bureau of Energy Efficiency on what is called the Facility for Low Carbon Technology Deployment Acceleration Program. So basically FLCTD, and I'll talk a little bit more about it later, is a program for basically supporting pilot for academic and industry partners. But the acceleration program that we run is for getting some of these innovators to be ready to do a pilot. And that's a big gap that we see, where you have innovators and there are organizations that want to support them to commercialization, but still there's a gap that exists in terms of how they would design these pilots for success, right? We also run something called the Emerging India Acceleration Program, which is in its 2nd edition, and that's funded by the Dune Foundation and the Good Energies Foundation. And that is specifically focused around rural prosperity through technology. So what we are focusing on is looking for technologies that can actually add to rural livelihoods and ideally kind of go towards wealth creation in rural economy. So technologies that can be absorbed, deployed, and benefiting local economies in the communities that these SMEs work in. And last but not least, we currently have an application open where we have assistance from Invest India as well to do outreach, to basically look at land restoration entrepreneurs. And this is something that's extremely overlooked, but basically there's a massive opportunity today in improving the ability for soil to retain carbon and for the nature to have an opportunity to basically replenish itself over time, and that can basically add a significant amount towards the fight against climate change. I want to talk about a few companies and also give some thoughts around commercializing innovation that they have benefited from. Inficold basically makes a thermal storage battery, which is basically used for off-grid cooling and refrigeration customers, or basically in areas where there is poor grid. So they use it for milk chilling, for fruits and vegetable storage, and they have co-commercialized technology with the National Institute of Solar Energy. So they have a co-license or a co-patent with them, and they are basically now working with multiple state governments to test and pilot some of these use cases with customers all the way from Kerala to Tripura. And so that's one opportunity to look at, where you could basically work with government institutions to kind of get the right technologies to the right markets in need. The second company I want to talk about is Promethean Energy, which makes low-grade waste heat recovery. And that's basically taking waste heat coming out of boilers, compressors, chillers, and putting it back into the industry in the form of hot water. And this company commercialized a technology that was from Professor Milind Rane's laboratory in IIT Bombay, and then developed incremental technologies on top of that to commercialize this into market. But at the point where they basically picked it up from IIT Bombay, there were 1 or 2 pilots that had been done, but the technology was already 3, 4, 5 years in the making, without any opportunity for commercialization till the company came in, right? So it's very important to go and work with academic institutions, with professors, with people who are looking to commercialize technologies from academic institutions to kind of create opportunities in the market. Delektric Systems is a story where now they're partnered with the Mission Innovation team to deploy these flow batteries or long duration batteries in distant locations. Again, this company has done a partnership with IIT Mission Innovation to deploy these batteries in Sikkim at a defense location to test the viability of these batteries. Also, the company basically came out of the ashes of a company that went bust, and basically is doing frugal innovation around bringing this technology back to market. The technology itself is in an open IP environment, but basically the key is to kind of build the entire technology stack and do it at price performance levels that's meaningful for emerging markets. KTWorks is a very interesting example where the technology originated from 2 students at MIT as a graduate project, and then came across to India to work with the Tata Trusts, and now is a company where they've just started selling pumps early this year for basically smallholder farmers, mainly in eastern parts of India, where there are dug wells and very small plots of less than half an acre, where farmers need cheaper as well as kind of convenient solutions for irrigation. And then the last one is a great example of a good team coming together and finding support to build their technology early. Cell propulsion basically is set up by a few ISRO employees who all come from either an energy storage or a powertrain background. And this team came together and won a challenge to build the entire powertrain of a battery electric bus using predominantly indigenous technology. And that's what they're working on today. And they're now supported by multiple organizations beyond us to bring this technology to market. They're still early stage. They're still kind of in their product development phase. So those basically are examples of some of the companies that we have worked with. And I just wanted to kind of take a few minutes to talk about the lessons from commercializing innovation and specifically for climate change innovations. And if you look at climate change innovations, I think one of the biggest opportunities you have as entrepreneurs or innovators is that you stand out from the crowd for the impact that you're bringing to the market. So you need to, as climate change innovators, understand what's the baseline of the intervention that you're making. What are you replacing? What's the inefficient system in place? What can you do in terms of the additionality of your solution? Are you replacing CO2 emissions? Are you basically reducing fossil fuels utilization? And what is the total GHG impact potential over a period of time, right? So you need to have that thought process. And what I'm very surprised by is that a lot of innovators and entrepreneurs do not take the time to build a scientific analysis of their climate change impact. And I think that is one of the biggest reasons for climate change entrepreneurs to not get the support and the capital that they are looking for, because if you don't have a rigor in terms of the main mission and vision of your innovation or your enterprise, you're going to have a very hard time finding the support that you need, right? So do this before you do anything else. Focus on building a strong scientific understanding of the climate change impact of your innovation. And that's extremely important as you think about licensing or commercialization of your IP. Right? Obviously, one of the biggest issues you're going to face as entrepreneurs is basically the chasm that you need to cross from your first sales or your initial sales to getting to product market fit, right? So as Geoffrey Moore talks about, like finding those initial customers, one of the biggest and most valuable insights that we have had with a lot of our entrepreneurs is that you need to have patience and perseverance to get to commercialization, right? So there is no shortcuts for clean tech innovation. You need to have that as entrepreneurs, and you need to instill that within your teams, right? And some of the ideas to use while you're kind of looking at commercialization is look for high levels of engagement before you look for scale. So one of the biggest things that you can do, and this is true for most entrepreneurs and most innovations, but especially for clean tech innovations, make sure you're looking for high levels of engagement with the customers that you're working for, or even any other organization that you're working for, independent of whether it's a paid pilot with a government department or anybody else. You need that engagement to ensure that you can be successful. Right? And one of the ways that you can do that when you're talking to private in sector entities is to look for someone to sign a letter of intent with you. And a way you can decide whether that's a high quality of letter of intent is it should ideally include how many units would they buy, at what price would they buy that, what are the specifications of your product that you need to achieve for them to make that decision to purchase your product, right? Ideally, they should not be competing with you, so should be able to sign a non-compete. They should also sign a non-disclosure, ideally, just to make sure that while you're basically in the process of developing your IP, you don't lose your innovation to somebody else, right? And so these are kind of things that you want to look for as you're looking at commercializing innovation. And one of the things to think about as you are building your innovation forward is the reasons why typically startups fail, right? And one of the biggest reasons is that there was no market need. So as much as possible, try and spend time with your customers. And one of the things that you can do early to ensure success, even if you don't have a lot of capital or support, is making sure that you're making something that people want and building a great team of founders around you so that you have a well-rounded team that can basically go through highs and lows of an entrepreneurial journey, right? So make something that people want, build a great team. Those are, I think, the two best things you can do for early startup success. And as you kind of grow and move towards commercialization, I think these 4 points always come up as being the most valuable. One, focusing on a single offering in a single market, so not being too spread out. Emphasizing sales and marketing early, so learn how to sell. If you are innovators looking to basically jump into entrepreneurship, one of the biggest things you can do is take lessons in sales and marketing, sales more than marketing, so one-on-one sales. Really learn systematically, so go step by step. Use these. This is where acceleration programs can really help, where you can basically check all the boxes as you move from A to B to C. And then last but not the least, stressing financial controls. The more you have a good handle of your financials, the better you are in riding out any poor scenarios that play out, right? Need to basically focus on getting to safety whenever there is a need for it, like today. Right? I just want to mention that there are quite a few organizations out there in India looking at clean tech entrepreneurship. So thankfully, we are not that alone. Some of the organizations like the Clean Energy International Incubation Center, which is basically a partnership between Tata Trust, organization called Social Alpha, the DST, as well as Tata Power, runs now 2 different programs, one called the Clean Energy Challenge, as well as the IIGP 2.0, the India Innovation Growth Program. And those are 2 great opportunities to get support as well as capital. I mentioned about UNIDO's FLCTD program, the Facility for Low Carbon Technology Deployment, which gives grants and helps you identify pilot customers where you can deploy your initial products to get proof points for you to commercialize. There are also organizations like Selco Foundation, which is now set up Selco Energy Access Fund. There is Shell's E4, which now runs annual acceleration program. The WWF Climate Solvers, which basically runs an annual program to facilitate clean climate change entrepreneurs, but with a lot of support around bringing together the ecosystem. The Climate Launchpad, which is a European organization, which is now actually partnered with Agni to basically support entrepreneurs globally, but specifically in India, as well as other organizations like CII, IAN, India Partners, Omnivore, Ankur Capital. So there are a few investors as well as support organizations out there that you can now reach out to. Obviously, you have technology incubators and acceleration programs beyond these in academic institutions and supported by corporates that you can reach out to. So do keep a lookout for those within the ecosystem. And last but not the least, I just want to say that for making clean tech investments attractive, what we need is high risk capital, access to R&D infrastructure, and a lot of business assistance and a cohesive nurturing environment, right? So what is the hardest to get past is making sure that we kind of cross the technology risk, right? Does it we make it within a certain price point? Does it work to the satisfaction of the customer? Will people buy, right? So the technology market risk chasm that needs to be crossed requires a lot of support, and that's not typically the support that's provided by commercial investors. And that's where I think there could be a lot of opportunity for the government to assist in creating pools of high-risk seed capital, publicly accessible R&D infrastructure, as well as simpler pathways for licensing of IP from government institutions. And these are some of the things that we know that the government is actively working on. And I think if you kind of share your ideas or thoughts with them, they would surely be interested in learning more about what you're working on and how they can help, right? And for us, I think the focus is always making clean tech entrepreneurship attractive. So we want to get as much good, great talent into the sector. So convince youth that this is a great sector to work in, ideally create some really good role models of innovators and entrepreneurs who have been successful in the sector, bring in as much diversity into the sector to make sure that this is a great place for people to want to come and work in. So do as much of empowerment within the sector as possible. And last but not the least, foster creativity and make sure that people are having fun as they try to solve the world's hardest problems, right? And just a last bit, obviously in this crisis, while we are dealing with a global pandemic, and actually also seeing low oil prices, which has always kind of been linked to poor investment scenarios for clean technologies. I do strongly believe that coming out of this crisis, we have an opportunity to become relevant to a global platform that is looking for and driving innovation. And it will be extremely valuable to come back to this conversation again and again about how we can become relevant and meaningful for global capital providers, global organizations which are looking for sustainability to support commercialization of clean tech innovation. Thank you for your time. I especially want to thank Wipro, Agni, Gujarat Technical University for having me here. And I'm happy to take any questions that people might have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Karthik. It was indeed a really eye-opener presentation and discuss very good fundamentals. Due to technical glitch, I couldn't brief you in the before you started your session. So I would take a take an opportunity to brief you with all our participants at the end of your session. So Mr. Karthik has started Sangam Venture in the year 2016 to find new model to provide early stage support for climate change pioneers. Sangam has also set up India's first clean tech incubator, AIC Sangam, in partnership with the Atal Innovation Mission, Niti Aayog. Prior to Sangam, Karthik led clean tech investments in India for Acumen Fund. Prior to that, he was with PVS Capital Fund. Karthik holds an MBA from Chicago with MS, also MS in Public Policy and Management from Carnegie Mellon University and a BTech in Chemical Engineering from IIT Bombay. So thank you very much, Karthik ji, for joining with us and briefing all our participants about the commercializing the clean technological aspects. Now, moving ahead to yes. Okay. Now moving ahead to our for the next part of our today's session. Now we will have a next session on innovate for a green future, a present theme of today's World IP Day by the WIPO. The session is going to be delivered by Mr. BP Singh, who was a joint controller of patents and design at the Patent Office, Government of India. He had served to Patent Office for nearly 35 years. By profession, Mr. BP Singh, by education profession, he is electrical engineering and he has two careers. In fact, he has served to the Indian Air Force for nearly 15 years, and later, second aspect of his career, he had served to the Indian Patent Office for nearly 5 years. He scenarios of the Indian IP system, starting from compliance with WTO and TRIPS adoption, Act and rules changes and modification, Patent Office procedure upgradation, representing India on different global multiple forums, and has formulated a really good policy and documentation and guideline of the Indian Patent Office. So would request Mr. VP Singh sir to please join us and brief our audience about Innovate for a Green Future and Indian perspective. Welcome, sir.
Is it full screen now?
Yes, sir.
Again, you all, after a lot of struggle also, we had to wait for this. Just moving ahead to our topic today. Sincere thanks to the organizers for giving us the opportunity to connect with each other, and especially to share our thoughts on the subject. Today, I must sincerely thank to WIPO also to choose the burning topic of the day today, that is innovate for green future. Where we are all going, this is the dark need of the situation that we should strive hard for attaining the safe. And what is the way forward? The way forward is that we should move toward low or no carbon fuel, renewable energies. But what is the way? What is the method? The method is through innovation, support of IP. So, realizing this need, rightly so, WIPO this year theme for the World IP Day is innovate. Talk about green technology. There is no hard and fast definition anywhere to find, but we all know that long back in 2010 itself, WIPO moved forward for recognizing what are those international classification we may relate to green technologies. Here are some listed in my slide at the left side, you can see. And broadly, they are distributed in 7 segments that are web and administrative and regulatory aspects, agriculture, forestry, nuclear power, transportation, and alternative energy production. The bifurcations in the left hand side are basically to the technology. You all understand that there are a number of international agreements on the climate change, but very the Paris Agreement, which we all we are all looking forward, working on it to achieve those goals, those targets. Increasing the use of renewable energy is to limiting global warming. This is the theme. This is the theme of the. This is the theme. The
Singh sir, sorry to interrupt. Singh sir, sorry to interrupt. I think we are getting notice like pausing the screen sharing. I think you are moving the slides, but participant is not able to see them. Yes, the presentation screens are not rotating. Kindly recheck
Screens
for
are
us.
not rotating.
Yes, slides are not
So-
rotated.
If you can correct.
Okay.
Kindly reshare the presentation, sir, again.
Annotation requesting to annotate the Can you see now?
No, sir. Still, it is showing up like a pause. Yes. Now,
Yes.
yes, it is visible now.
It is good.
Now visible? Presently you are
Yes.
seeing the screen number 4.
Yes, yes, yes.
So one of the on the facility is limiting global warming 1.5 is level. And at national level, I quote Prime Minister of the 60th which will manufacture goods such that and that for export goods are never returned. Manufacture goods so effect that format is from the global zero defect zero effects in class. One, mechanism wherein has no defects. Process which has zero adverse environmental and ecological. General and high quality. Now that gentleman that this comes from the how India is concerned to our in technology in so I'm has the screen moved forward? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Forward? No.
I think it is presently on the slide number 4.
And some problem I think that is not moving forward from my end.
Okay.
Neither from the keyboard nor from the mouse. Again, approved. So the climate change. The Paris Agreement on Climate Change under its Article 10 says that accelerating, encouraging, and enabling innovations critical for a effective long-term global response to climate change and promoting economical growth and sustainable development. Now, this was the theme of Paris Agreement. And this was recognized that innovation has a central role to play in tackling climate change. Now, after looking at all these things, I'm not going to read the slides, it's for you to just see. But the preparation that WIPO has done so far so long, and right from beginning, the way the Paris Agreement moved, the national governments had taken those goals of even the Sustainable Development Goals of United Nations. Nearly half of them requires green technology for its solution. So you can all understand that this is all to show you that how the need of having a green future to save the climate, to save the environment, to save the earth is required. Here I have listed all the 17 goals for sustainable development, which was adopted in 2015. In India, has aligned with responsibility of and ensure that all the 17 goals are achieved successfully. This that they have already and can mutually offer trust. So WFP is a perfect platform at present to register if you have green technology or if you need green technology. These are required to go for WFP and look at WFP. Secondly, I was talking about a little while ago regarding IPC green inventory, and this is nothing but a IPC same IPC class carved out from different sections, from different parts of IPC. What are the technologies which are relating to green technology? At one go, at one place, they have been carved out by IPC experts committee to facilitate searches for patent information relating to environmentally sound technology. We call it ESTs. Now, something about India and renewable energy. I believe all of you are knowing that India renewable energy is ranked 4th in wind power, 5th in solar power, and 5th in renewable power installed capacity as of 2018. It's ranked in EY renewable energy country attractive index 2019. The renewable energy will account 55% of the total installed power capacity by 2030. So again, emphasizing the commitment at Paris Agreement, the government of India is aiming to achieve 225 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2022, much ahead of its target of 175 gigawatt during that particular period. Our commitment was 175 gigawatt, but we are committed and we are looking forward for 225 gigawatts. Under Union Budget 1920 again, the commitment of government, I'm just going to emphasize that under Union Budget 1920, rupees 4,272.16 crore, which is amounting to 611.26 million, has been allocated for grid interactive renewable energy schemes and projects. Similarly, the amount of rupees 3,490 crore amounted to 6.4 million was allocated for development of solar power projects, including both grid interactive and off-grid and decentralized activity. And just information to you that till May 2019, a total of 40 solar parks have been approved in India. Now, we are talking IP, but minus these backgrounds, I think it was not possible to realize that what is the importance and how government of India is viewing this technology. IP policy, gentlemen, you all understand, May 2016, India came with the IP policy, the vision statement, the mission statement, and the objectives are one margin red to understand. In vision statement, we committed where intellectual property promotes advancement in science, technology, art, and cultural traditional knowledge and biodiversity sources. And India, where knowledge is the main driver of the development. And similarly, mission statement, apart from other things stated above, lining that focus on enhancing access to important. This is our commitment in national IPR policy. Administration is many acts, patents and trademarks, certification, semiconductors, copyright protection of variety, diversity, etc. And everywhere there is a room for in almost all the IPRs. Though specifically for green technology or for green inventors, nothing especially has been told. Generally, what are the things that are in patent law, natural resources are highlighted that, but nowhere we have mentioned about green technology. But after the development in the WTO arena, many countries, many IPOs started giving expedited examination for all the inventions which were related to green technology. In 2016, we were going for patent rules in India. We also have incorporated features of expedited examination, but limited to two categories then. These are, I'll mention it later, but these are the environmental related legislations in India, which is again a government that so many environmental related acts are there are being administered to ensure that the environment is there. So, coming back to our commitment that when the world was opening for expected some for green technology, US also started and other countries also started in 2009. Started. Our aim was to come to a level where we 18 months, but I mean 18 months, we examine all the cases which are more than 18 months after the priority date or the filing date. That was the target. Hence, that was a larger target, not only for green technology, for all other technologies we had the target. And I am happy to tell you that not in all fields of technology, but in certain fields of technology in December 19, that was the time deadline. In certain fields of technology, we have achieved at least 24 months, if not 18 months. So that was the target to achieve for almost all technology, not limited to green technology. These are the quality managements and how the patent office is growing itself to address the growing need of the hour, giving guidelines so that these technologies, especially green technologies and other technologies as well, they are addressed, they are examined properly so that none of the green technologies are left behind or they are kept under any circumstances with lesser degree of sincerity and attention. These are again highlighting some achievements of the patent office, which has helped in our 24/7 hours basis of the functioning. How we could achieve this 24 months deadline by in certain fields of technology in December 19 was, I have shown in recent slides to you, that India works on 24/7 hours basis of e-filing mode. No other country with this much vast population and no other countries takes care of their filers, their applicants, their inventors, their clients in the way Indian Patent Office takes care, because 24 into 7 hours basis, nobody allows, everybody allows to their what you call their working hours. And that has helped in getting more applications on online, and that has also helped in disposal of very many applications, because once you get more, we augment and we go for more disposals as well. In 2019, once we started with the expedited examination, we started with very modest category. We just had two eligibility criteria. One was that the applicant must have chosen India ISA as ISA, and the second was they should fall in the category of a startup. And startups, as you are aware, that the intention of having so many startups are to focus on green innovation, green technologies, because these startups are engaged in such researches and such developments. But in 2019, the government of India felt that this category of expedited examination must be enhanced, and you see the list has gone up. It has swollen to the extent that all the government companies, all the government organizations, central government, provincial government, state government, startups, SMEs, SMEs, they are all given the leverage. Ladies inventor to be last year, if you all remember, the ladies inventor, women inventors were the theme in the theme, basic theme of the World IP Day. And this year itself, 2019, the same year, the very year, Government of India has acknowledged the gesture by allowing expedited innovation for in respect of all. This was a welcome move. Also, India moved forward, and the J category
Hello, sir. You are visible, but your audio is not available. And now I think your audio is available. Yes, yes. Hello, sir. Hello.
Am I audible now?
Sir, you are audible.
Okay, I'm really sorry. There was some technical glitch
Yeah, it's
again,
fine. Yeah, no issue, sir. Yeah, you can continue, sir.
and then we couldn't connect with you all. So
Sir, you
this
continue.
slide
Yes,
number,
sir. Yes, yes.
yeah, slide number. We were discussing about the expedited examination enhancement of the categories therein, and I was emphasizing that last year theme was women based on women inventors at WIPO, and we have incorporated the women inventors in the categories of if one of the inventors is a women inventor, we allow for expedited examination in Indian Patent Office, apart from all the government organizations, and be it state government, be it central government, all the organizations applications originate from there are taken for expedited examination. So this is again emphasizing not only for green invention, but almost all sorts of inventions are taken care of that. To mention that while many countries started giving expedited examination for green inventions, but slowly the applications were so low that they had to stop this. When WIPO has started, they have all taken launching the situation is coming that very many applications annual report that disclosures. Examination of patent. Statistical data. I just move quickly on this. Here is the lines which are all GI. In the development of patents, every aspect of the intellectual property, Any disturbance? But all these technologies, all these areas of the art, design, they are all to give the contribution to our development of a glance of expedited dissemination. Have a look. That this is a startup process. This is from the some of you may find your name. I'm organization name. I'm not aware. Here, certainly, because we are discussing about universities and talk to on the platform of university. Certainly, university is interested to understand that these are the top 10 fighters in Indian office. Emphasizing that this is not for only the green technology, but all other technologies taken together. This filing versus total filing versus e-filing. One aspect which I just like to share with you, that in all other countries where you must be aware that they give concession for going for e-filing mode. You get 10%, 25%, whatever concession you get. In India, we just adopted a reverse approach. And the approach was that the default filing will be e-filing. You will be charged extra 10% if you go for the paper filing. And the result, you can see 2013-14 filing, and now 17-18, above 90% filing came because the default filing was made. Because the paper filing requires a lot of formalities before they are put on e-filing mode. So this means the little tax in India, and further so, we have authorized all the patent attorneys, patent holders to come forward and file on e-filing only. So this was the major achievement that we got. You understand. Examination at a glance in 17-18. And this is a startup, and this is applicant who has chosen India ISA, and this is total. You can see the graph clearly that how over the years we have got the expedited innovation. So to give equal benefit to the people who are interested in expedition and facilitating them in a better fashion. If you see the breakup of Indian filing 2016 and 17 in all the categories, person, startups, a small entity, and other than a small net person, that is we call it legal entities. You just see. Gentlemen, why I showed, and ladies, I'm sorry to mention, why I have shown you all those things was just you see ease of doing, providing facility 24 into 7 hours basis in India. Not only that, ease of doing business is not only related to patent office, but patent office certainly contributes to this larger area in the entire country. And 2014 onwards, if you see 2019, how many steps that India has taken as a whole in ease of doing business. Today we stand on 63. Already government is committed to bring it to level of 50 or even below 50. Development Repair Office also has some contribution. Doing business ranking. The index ranking. Here, to have some contribution in some terms. Today in 2019, this is improvement in our global that's not that they have got the ranking improved. Now, after having said only green technology, but here capital for certainly green technology. This is very we have the roughly this divided into three categories. One is better state. These technologies are the creators or the inventors of these technologies. We call it patenting behavior. In file patent to reserve X technologies empty, better particular market more. Third one, and they are trying to increase the share market, their market share, and on PCT website that two onwards and towards nearly filed in all are in Europe. And I have given 800 to now 2,863. Of course, it has went in 2012 at the peak when it was filed 4,541. And again, from 2016, it has again gone on increasing. So this is the figure or overall figure. This gives you a idea that and how the world is moving towards patent application filing in WIPO. Here, particular, I have bifurcated in 4 different categories. One is geothermal, wind energy, fuel cells, and solar energy. Now, these are the patents at bottom. If you see, these are relating. The one in red here is fuel. the here this particular portion. Look at see is wind energy, and the top very thin layer is geothermal energy. 4 categories we have these application, and by 4 right from 2002 to 2019. This is WIPO. Again, the figure is taken from WIPO website. Look at the top 10 countries in filing renewable energy patents are Japan, US, Germany, Republic of Korea, China, Denmark, France, UK, Spain, Italy. And again, this is into solar, fuel cells, wind energy, and geothermal. Trend of granted patent application is difficult to locate it, but we have had after I got an invitation from trend of and supply have been filed, non-resident. Similarly, in almost all waste disposal, rail vehicles, getting the correction here. This is the actual made. So if you see this energy, this is power supply system. Is it to you all? Hello?
Yes, sir, here, but your voice not.
Not clear. Can you hear me?
Yes, hear you, sir, but your
I think that clearly. Okay, so this is the speed of in it. We have given for the granted patents, which are already granted, not in application stage, not in any other examination stage, but granted patent. 509 patents on wind energy, 398 on solar energy, 303 on power supply, 187 on measurement of electricity consumption, 154 for or classification of biomass, and 111 for pesticide, communicating, HOV, telenetworking, and carbon emission trading. And then rest is the figure available with you. Here, one thing is very important. Whatever patent we, this figure is about for 9 years, 2010 onwards. And suppose we have granted about 42,000 patents during that period. About 19 patents are based on the green technologies or relating to green technologies. The we can infer from there that about 4.6 patents are granted in the field of green technology. Unlike, if you remember, when I was talking about WIPO PCT website, 1% application was in the green technology. Here in India, we are granting 4% of the total filing. So This is the difference, that we are at times moving ahead to many nations in the country. In so far it relates to green technology. And with these words, I feel that we are 11 o'clock. I finish my discussion here and open to questions, quick questions. If you ask any of the questions, please, you are most welcome.
Dear participants, first of all, thank you very much, BP Singh sir, for giving a brief session. Now, dear all participants, the forum is open for question and answer session. Our all mentors are presently online. You can raise your question or you can type the same into the chat box.